Hello everybody, Happy New Year! Here are my global predictions for the year coming 2014. We are still in the cardinal climax, which began in 2008 and doesn't end until 2015. And this brings, it's probably one of the most important astrological aspects of our lifetime actually. It's extremely powerful and brings about huge world change, as we've seen. Since 2008 has been this great crash where Lehman Brothers were allowed to go under, where the Fed brought interest rates down to nearly 0%, thereby killing savers. Pensions in many countries have been cut. Some people have lost their pensions altogether. It's been a hugely difficult time economically. Earth changes with earthquakes, tsunamis, extremes in weathers. These are all the kinds of things that I had predicted were likely to happen during this cardinal climax. So for 2014 we're reaching what I call another peak of this climax, particularly in April time. How could this play out? Well, I think it's going to play out in one of two ways. Very contrasting ways, because Uranus is so powerful in the heavens right now. I think it could play out that the world debt just reaches a limit, and there's a panic and there's a stock market crash, and that governments shut down and default on debt. Obviously that's one very serious scenario one way. Or there's a complete turnaround in our leaders. Of course, I must admit, I think this is unlikely, but it's a possibility that they decide that they're going to act with transparency and honesty, and that they really try to regain the trust of their people, and they make an effort to bring down the debt levels, and that there's no more threat of defaulting, and that they reward businesses for hiring people rather than penalising them. So these are the opposing scenarios that I see happening in 2014. We've got three retrogrades, one after the other. Right now we've got Venus retrograde until the end of January. During most of February we've got Mercury retrograde, and then from March until May 20th we've got Mars retrograde. So what I'm anticipating is lots of reversals, lots of changes of policy. Banks saying one thing, then changing their policies. Insurance companies, governments going there and back, making promises, reneging on those promises. I'm seeing a lot of that, particularly for the first 5 months of this year. President Obama, as I said last year, is coming under heavy aspects, and he's been under this square of Neptune to his moon. And the moon is his public persona, and the square Neptune, anything to do with dishonesty, a scandal, has to come out during this time. And this is of course a very difficult time for him, and I think his honesty is going to be tested. And if it proves that he's not honest during this time, if there are more lies, because obviously Germany and Israel and Saudi Arabia, different countries, feel quite betrayed by the way he hasn't communicated with them very well, I think that his reputation is really on the line this year. If he can be honest, then he can salvage things. But if he's found out in more lies or more dishonest statements, I think this is going to be really his downfall, potentially. He does have a high point coming, which is in September of this year, when Jupiter joins his natal sun in Leo, which potentially is a high point in a career, and it could well be for him. Or he could go to extremes, because by 2015 we've got Saturn, which is going to square his natal moon and Pluto, and depending how he's behaved is really we're going to see how that will play out. It could either be that he leaves office with his reputation in tatters, or he leaves office with his head held high. It's very much going to depend on the honesty and integrity issue. Stock markets, I've got to be honest, I was wrong. I thought last year we were going to see a crash. I had no idea how powerful the intervention of Pluto, square Uranus, and in mutual reception to Saturn was going to, that central banks would have so much power to manipulate the markets. I didn't realize that it was going to be so powerful. So I was wrong about that. I still think that eventually it's going to come. Just printing money out of thin air is not really something that is sustainable, but for right now it certainly looks as though the stock market's going to go up, and that gold and silver are going to be very volatile and pushed down for now. I don't think that's forever, but for now. What are the good things to invest in this year? Well, usually wherever Jupiter is, tends to be those stock sectors that rule that sign that Jupiter's in, tend to outperform the market. So for the first until July 16th, we've got Jupiter in Cancer, and this would rule anything connected with home, families, anything connected with real estate, housing, hotels, restaurants, food, drink, catering. All of these things, obviously you have to find your niche, because we're in a difficult housing market in some parts of the world, and in other parts of the world we're in a hugely rising market, so you'd have to place yourself very strategically, but these are potentially good areas to invest in. When Jupiter goes into Leo, from July 16th onwards, it's a great time to invest in anything connected with children's games, toys, gambling, gold mining, the leisure industry, entertainment, romance, love, the dating industry. All that could be something that sees a revival to it. Saturn, wherever Saturn is, tends to be the area where the stock sectors that do not perform very well, and Saturn in Scorpio would indicate banking, insurance companies, waste management, funeral services, care services, oil and gas. Those are the kinds of areas that will be covered by the Saturn in Scorpio. Now let's look at gold and silver. As you all know, I am a gold bug, and I will remain a gold bug, because nothing has changed. Nothing in the market has fundamentally moved since the cardinal climax to give me any kind of confidence that everything is over, the economic difficulties are over, and that we're out of this recession. So I'm seeing more social unrest. The cardinal climax, particularly in April, with another hit of Uranus and Pluto square, I think there's going to be much more social unrest. If there's more social unrest, there could be panic. If there's panic in the market, then we're going to see the gold price and silver price go up. I do think that while Jupiter is in Cancer and Leo respectively for this next year and a half, year and a bit, ruling gold and silver, and when Mars goes into Scorpio, which is from July 25th to September 13th, Mars in Scorpio is usually an indicator of a surge in precious metals prices. That might be the time that we see a surge in prices. The weather, I said that with so many water signs we were going to see more and more flooding. Sadly to say, that has been true. We've seen it everywhere, in Canada, the UK, in Europe, the terrible typhoon we've just seen in the Philippines, in Jakarta, Indonesia, all over. I think there's a lot more to come this year, issues with flooding. Once Jupiter goes into Leo, I think we're going to see issues with heat waves, fires, widespread fires. I also think we'll see volcanoes erupting, anything connected with heat and more earthquakes. Mars is retrograde. During the Mars retrograde, I will of course speak about this in more detail when it comes in March, March 1st till May 20th. It's not the best time to start new things, i.e. a new job. It's not a good time to have surgery, or at least elective surgery. Try to do it either before or after the Mars retrograde. And also not a good time to start a dispute. Not a good time to, because usually the person who starts the dispute is the one that loses it during a retrograde. But I tell you what it's great for. It's great for anybody in the mechanical repair business. Because during retrograde Mars, often things go wrong, especially mechanical things. So if you repair computers, technology, cars, whatever it is, you should do very well during this retrograde. So to summarize my predictions for this coming year, I think we're going to see more QE, more money printing, more riots, more unrest, higher unemployment, greater volatility in gold and silver, and quite honestly I would be buying more gold and silver in these dips because I think it will go up. I think we'll see more cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin. I think they'll proliferate. And there will be more spying on us, of course, and more attempts to clamp down on internet freedoms, but I don't think those are going to be successful. With Uranus in Aries, I think we're still going to see more medical breakthroughs in stem cell therapy, in genome sequencing. I think we'll see more people taking up health apps with monitoring your blood, your glucose levels, your blood pressure, all these things. I think this will become more mainstream gradually. Housing, I think we'll see more passive housing. We're going to see more sustainable cities, green tech used, more cities, smarter cities using sensor technology for lighting, for security, for helping you find a parking spot. Technologically, I think we'll see wearable devices becoming much more used. Google Glass launched, Apple iWatch, we've got the Samsung Watch. All these things are going to grow. I think we'll see more iPods and tablets used in education. And I think we'll see a lot more improvements in battery technology, where you'll be able to charge your mobile phone in 5 minutes and it'll last for a week or two. And we'll see more space exploration, more robots used for daily activities, 3D printing becoming mainstream, and also smarter devices for tracking us, what we're doing, where we are, helping us. I think that's going to accelerate. As far as weather's concerned, with this cardinal climax, we're going to see extremes of weather, probably where it's expected to be hot, it might be cold, and vice versa. More earthquakes, tsunamis, sadly, more eruptions around the world. I also think we're going to see landmass rising out of the sea. Spiritually, there is an awakening happening. I know many of you are still feeling that. We're still under the influence slightly of the Jupiter, Neptune, Saturn trine energy in water signs, certainly for the first 6 months of the year. This is a great time to connect with like-minded people. You don't have to listen to the news. You don't have to tune in to what's being said and what's being shared. You can live in that kind of parallel universe. It's a time for finding your tribe, the people that you connect with, and the people that you really feel at home with. I think we'll see large movements of people from cities into more rural areas, and people setting up as communities where they come together and become more sustainable, where we're not so dependent on our governments, because our governments, let's face it, they've not been very reliable to date. So that's a lot. I've got through in a quick amount of time. I've written an article about it as well. And it just remains for me to say to you that these last couple of years of the cardinal climax are going to be very transformational. Welcome the changes. Try to welcome the changes that are coming into your life. We're all experiencing it. We all know it. Many of us have been having a difficult time, but the more we can go with seeing things as being good changes, that these changes are for our highest good. I've moved to Greece. I didn't expect it. It's not easy making a move, of course it's not. But looking always at the good things, the better things, being real about what's happening, not sweeping things under the carpet, but looking that this is a good change for humanity. What will come from this will be for the better, will be better for us personally, and will be better for us as a whole. So I thank you for listening. I thank you for subscribing, commenting, sharing, discussing. I appreciate it, and I wish you all the very best for 2040. Bye for now.